Hola.
I'm very honored to be here with you today. You're one of the greatest people in the movie industry. Do you ever stop to think how you've changed the industry and the experience for moviegoers?
Well, I mean, I don't really think about it in those terms that much. Thank you for the compliment. I mean, all the way along, I was thinking about this morning, all the way along, even back on Aliens, I wanted Aliens to be released in 70 millimeter. They didn't do that many 70 millimeter releases back then,
Mhm.
especially for a smaller film like Aliens, but we pushed for that, right? And I pushed for 70 millimeter on The Abyss as well, and we started experimenting around with CG. And that's going back to 1988. So I've kind of always been kind of pushing at the boundaries of the cinematic presentation and
Yeah.
the whole authoring process as a filmmaker from the earliest days. That's just something that I love to do. And I think it's because I like epic filmmaking,
Mhm.
right? So to me, an epic film is also partly about the way that it's presented in the theater, not
Yeah.
just the script, not just the story, not just the acting. I mean, all of that has to be top notch as well, right? But I've also always been fascinated by the presentation.
Yeah. Your name is known everywhere, but it wasn't true that your first time directing a movie was in Piranha and you were fired 2 weeks after beginning filming. Is that true?
It was more like 8 days.
8 days?
Yeah, 7 or 8 days, something like that. Yeah, it was creative differences, as they say,
Okay.
because the producer was a psycho. Uh, and by the way, the producer wanted me fired from before I even started because he
Yeah.
wanted to take over the movie. But it's a blessing because now I can say, well, my first film was really The Terminator, which
Yeah.
is true.
Of course. 25 years ago, you released Titanic to the movie theaters, and it's an icon of cinema. In 2012, you released a 3D version, and this time it comes again to the movie theaters. What's different this time?
Nothing. I
Nothing?
mean, no, it doesn't need to be different. Here's the proposition, the value
Yeah.
proposition. It's Titanic
Hmm.
in a theater,
Yeah.
right? So you haven't been able to see Titanic in a movie theater for 10 years. That's the
Yeah.
value proposition. It's the 25th anniversary. So what are we saying here? I mean, yes, we remixed it in Atmos because
Hmm.
that wasn't available 10 years ago, right? Okay, but that's not that big a deal. That's not a reason to get up out of your house and go see a movie. Formats, I don't think even 3D is not a reason to go see a movie. The reason to go see the movie is because you want to have an extraordinary emotional experience, a kind of a journey, if you will, in a movie theater, right?
Yeah.
So these days, with all the streaming media that's pouring in at us from every direction, right? So much stuff that you can't even keep up with a tenth of it. Why would you want to go see something in a movie theater? It has to be something you know will be an extraordinary experience, right?
Mm.
So you look at Top Gun. Well, look, everybody tells me Top Gun is great. I'm going to go see Top Gun. Everybody tells me, The Way of Water or Wakanda is great. I'm going to go see that. But these days, we want guarantees if we're going to go to a movie theater.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll just watch it at home. So
Yeah.
there's no guarantee better than Titanic. It's proven for 25 years that when you
Hmm.
watch that film, you will have a profound emotional experience, right? That's a
Yeah.
guarantee. And
And
we
still
know that.
relevant.
Well, we know, well, it's relevant, it's an evergreen, it never goes away, the story still fascinates people, all that, right? But we know we re-released the film in 2012, which you just mentioned.
Hmm.
It made $420 million. People wanted to see the film again, right? So I think that it has to do with Titanic has a special meaning to people around the world, which is where was I in my life when I saw that film? Where was I in my relationships? What did I believe about the nature of love and life and death and all of those things, right? What did I believe at that time? Would it still have an effect on me now? You
Yeah.
know, and that's why I think people went back in 2012, and now we've got a whole, younger group of potential fans who maybe know the film from streaming or from video,
Yeah.
right, or from Blu-ray or whatever, and might want to have that theatrical experience that they've heard about. And maybe
Yeah.
people want to share, right, across
Yeah, of
generations.
course.
Like mom wants to go with me to share Titanic with me, or dad does, you know. I think it has generational meaning in the same way that the extraordinary success of it the first time in the marketplace had a lot to do with generational sharing as well as lateral sharing amongst friends and you know, maybe your date, or maybe your significant other at the time, maybe your lovers, which is why we're putting it out on Valentine's Day week,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
Because
love story at the end.
we're trying to celebrate the love, the romance, the beauty of the film as much as
Yeah.
the tragedy.
For some people, this is what actually happened. How accurate is the movie for you when you put it on the cinema the first time? And the second question, because we're running out of time, could Rose save Jack on that door?
You went there. You went there.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Historical accuracy is still very good. Everything
Mhm.
that I've learned an awful lot about the Titanic wreck site and about the history in the 25 years. Our investigation has been ongoing, and we've never really discovered any glaring errors that we made. We do
Yeah.
believe the ship broke up more or less the way we show it in the film. I think we have a lot of experimental, physical experimental validation. We have a lot of computer simulation validation of that. So you can rest assured that what you're seeing is more or less the way it happened.
Yeah.
As for Rose and Jack on the raft, I finally decided to drive a stake through the heart of this myth, right? So we did an experiment. We did a series of experiments at a hypothermia lab here in New Zealand. And the results of those experiments are in a special on National Geographic that I think starts airing tomorrow, or the next day. Maybe it's the next day, because we're a day ahead here in New Zealand. We're living in the future here. And that's called Titanic 25 years later. So we
Yeah.
definitively answered the question. And the one thing I have to say is some of the results surprised me, and they're very interesting.
Yeah. Well, to wrap it up, you were nominated for director this time. The movie Avatar is. Do you even care having the two of the best movies in the world at the top of the charts every time?
Well, look, I mean, it's always nice to be acknowledged by your peers, but I think that everybody knows that we've just done part one of a four-part series, you know, of films that I think of as a kind of a saga. So starting with Avatar 2 and then 3, 4, and 5. And so I think people are kind of maybe biding their time. I do appreciate that they acknowledged our sound crew and our production design team, which is phenomenal. So, you know, grateful for that. And obviously Best Picture, which, you know, is nothing to sneeze at. So we're very happy.
Yeah.
I think it's very unhealthy going into award season to have any kind of expectation whatsoever. And by the way, we're just getting warmed up. So plenty of time.
Yeah. You're the winner for us. So thank you, Jim. It's a
And
pleasure.
that's what counts.
Yeah, all the fans. Thank you. Gracias.
Okay. All right.